welcome to Rippa Rambles with me, Jack the Ripper, and what's probably going to be one of the most interesting Rippa Rambles in terms of some of the information discussed in it, because this might be one of the few times where I'm not entirely spending it talking about bad practices of... Okay, wait, no, that's probably not true. Anyway, let's just get on to this. The first thing was announced yesterday, assuming I actually get this video out on time, which, apologies for that, my computer was having some problems, couldn't get it to render because it was too hot. I hadn't turned it off overnight, and so the residual heat in the water meant it was overheating too quick. So hopefully this is getting out. Tankfest. So we were told quite poorly. I mean, Carbide's a really good guy, and it's in no way, none of this is any of his fault. But it was Ben actually from the Beard Guys who atted the what console community contributors. The note was just put in the Discord that we have, and no one else was mentioned in it. It was just put there. And basically, we were told, well, all the support and funding for console and Blitz is being pulled. From more discussions I've had, it seems like they're going to be putting all their focus on 1.0, and there is going to be absolutely no console or Blitz presence at Tankfest. There will be no consoles ready for people to line up for. There will be no tents, no nothing. Although Tankfest themselves, I believe, or Tankfest themselves, already have some consoles there, so I see it's going to be possible. There might be a few consoles lying around, but you know, not many. But who knows? They may be put away so that they can bring PCs in their place if they're going to really focus all on 1.0. So this could, yeah, no console or Blitz at Tankfest. Now, in the great scheme of things, it's not a big deal. Quite frankly, you know, Wargaming are sponsoring this. They can do what they want, and they've probably invested heavily in 1.0. I think someone's thought about this as a great idea, but I don't think they're either very clever or I don't think they thought it through very much. Because, so the only reason to push 1.0 like this is if you're trying to showcase something, then there's no point showcasing it to people who already use it. The people who go to Tankfest are either people who are interested in tanks or people who are World of Tanks fans who also like tanks. You know, there's a tank basis here. Now, Wargaming have pushed PC at every single one of these. The PC has been the main centre stage for obvious reasons: biggest player base, biggest draw, biggest provider of their money. So it makes sense. But the thing is, all people there will have either played World of Tanks or play World of Tanks. They currently play it. So you're not going to gain anything. Showing, oh yeah, look, come see this new thing that you already play. Come in all, and by you person who already has this game, you come play it somewhere else, and now somehow we have more people and more money. Well, to me, it's like the kind of the underpants gnome thing from South Park, which you know, I don't know how many of you have seen, but you know, step 1, only focus on World of Tanks 1.0. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit. That is our plan, gentlemen. Go forth and make our plan happen. Except in slightly less of a random posh British voice and more of a Russian one. But for some reason, I'm still sticking with the posh one. That was very Eddie inspired. Anyway, so, yeah, that means no, you know, proper meet and greets and stuff. Now, the Beard Guys are still going. I believe Ben and Lam are still going to go there. Obviously, make sure you follow their Twitter, their Discord, etc. for information. I know a lot of people have already booked tickets and accommodation, and they're going to be going down, and they're going to be there for, you know, they're going to be there for a while, I think. From what I've seen, they said they're planning on going maybe a couple hours, meeting up somewhere very specific, and then that's it. Then they'll go elsewhere around the area, meet up with fans and all that sort of stuff, have a drink, just enjoy the sort of general place. It's not too much of a trek for them, I think. For me, I couldn't afford tickets. The only way I was 100% reliant on Wargaming providing that. I couldn't afford tickets and the deposit for accommodation. So I can't go even if I went down there. So I'm going to be cancelling my accommodation, which means I'm out just about 300 quid for the deposit, which I might be able to get some of it back, depending on how things go, depending on how they define timelines, blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's not fun. And you might be wondering, well, and for anyone there kind of going, oh well, you shouldn't have booked something in. We were told, so obviously there is I'm not going to bring it up on screen because it is a private Discord. There is a Wargaming Discord. In said Wargaming Discord was a section called Tankfest 2018. In Tankfest 2018, people repeatedly asked, what should we do? When will we find out information? You know, we need to make, you know, accommodation bookings. Some people need to potentially book long. If you book a flight really far in advance, as far as it will go, it saves you money. So people wanted to do all this sort of stuff, and we were told, go ahead and do it. We'll sort it out later. So we were actively encouraged to spend money. Now, as I kind of made a comment, I'm not going to pursue any of it, but I'm pretty sure, there's, if someone wanted to, someone who spent far more money than me, there's legal kind of things here, I'm sure. They've said, oh yeah, go spend money, we'll cover it, and then later date gone, nah, we won't. And it's all in writing. I mean, there's no official contract, but it is in writing for a company representative to say, go spend money, and then company representatives say, no, we're not going to cover it now. But the main people who they give a rat's ass about are PC, and they're not covered. Now, as I put a thing on the forums about this, and I believe Carbide did a post on that same forum post about it. I might have to bring it up in a second. Actually, yeah, so excuse the clicking in the background, but I am going to open that up. Oh, for God's sake, Chrome. Yeah. So I put something on the forums making the point, you need to not blame Wargaming North America here, because they have absolutely nothing to do with this. And blaming the console EU guys, they had no control over this. It was all over their heads. And it's very unfortunate, but these things happen. Where is it? Carbides. Right, there we go. So Wargaming Carbide. He came in and said, "Hey everyone, just a quick clarification. While it is unfortunate that we will not have the presence we'd like at Tankfest. Jeez, I'm terrible at reading out. Can you tell? While it's unfortunate that we will not have the presence we'd like to have at Tankfest, rest assured that we are and will continue to be fully invested in World of Tanks console. Not only that, but we will do everything we can to have a voice at events in the future, and to make sure the game we'll enjoy and the game we all enjoy continues to be seen and heard by as many people as we can reach." So, I do believe that Wargaming, the console guys themselves, I think they're just as bummed out about this as we are. I think they really would have liked to have been at Tankfest. I think you've got to remember, for them, as much as it'd still be, they would be kind of coming to Tankfest. I mean, they would still be working, but they'd be getting paid to come to Tankfest. And having been once, all the staff love it. It's a great time for them, and the other ones who don't get to come are always a bit jealous. So having there been a console bit would have meant this, these guys not getting to come to Tankfest. I mean, it kind of sucks for them. And at the same time, the game they do enjoy. You got to think, Wargaming EU guys, the console guys, they do play console. I mean, Dee's Ari, she used to play PC. She's got like over 10,000, 20,000, something like that, battles on PC, and now she started playing console now that she works for the console side. Carbide, no idea how many battles he's actually got, but I know he's on just as often, if not more often than I am. On a regular basis, I'll come on the weekend, see Carbide, he's playing console, World of Tanks. I go off, come back on later on the day, he's now playing a bit of Forza, and then when I look through the thing, suddenly he's back on World of Tanks. He's playing World of Tanks quite a lot. These are people who like the game, people who enjoy playing the game. And I think they've been screwed over in a way just as much as we have. So I wanted to clear that up. I wanted to make sure everyone understood that, this is what the situation is, and that there will be a few people there, I'm sure, from the console side. I know a portion of the Beard Guys community are definitely going to be there, but there will be no official console presence as it stands, as at the moment I make this video, at Tankfest. There'll be no console, no Blitz, none of it. None of it is being supported, which I think is utterly daft. Right. Now, moving slightly forward, and I think actually backing up a little bit of what I've just said about Wargaming EU still being behind stuff. So, some of you may remember at one point I was talking about a Q&A specifically with Carbide. Now, at the time Carbide said he'd love to do it, and he was all for it. If nothing else, it sets a precedent and means that there's a system in place for them doing it with other members of the community in the future. Now, he said yes. He got me to agree. His boss said yes. And then at a later date, his boss then came back and said, you know what, I'm going to shelf it for now, we've got to worry about other stuff. I think it was around Gamescom, and I think they were just worried about anything potential negative. I don't know the details, you'd have to ask the guy who was his said boss. Now, good thing, Carbide got promoted. I don't think the other guy got fired, I think he probably got sidestepped because they were trying to make console its own situation within Wargaming EU now. And so Carbide is now the same person he has to ask permission to do that interview. So unsurprisingly, he's quite for it, and only having to ask himself, he said yes. So yeah, so that is on again. I've sent a draft of questions over, sort of thing, and you might be wondering, oh, so this is going to all be some preset there, everything's going to be answered. Well, you have to remember, you should think, if you know me, I'm not going to ask very easy questions. I'm going to ask questions which are going to push the limits of what he can tell me under an NDA. And that is precisely why he is having to check. Because he said he wants to be able to tell us as much as possible. And I fully believe him. So he is going to go over some of these questions, and he is going to check on them, and he's going to say, okay, how much can I tell you? Because some of the questions, I'm sure he's literally going to say, I'm afraid I can't answer. And I'm still going to ask the question, but I'm going to make sure he has to say to us a lot that he cannot tell us that. You know, I'm not just going to, you know, let them table it or anything like that. You know, everything is going to be brought to the table as much as it can be. But the other thing I've put on the thing is I said there will be some community questions. And so that's where you guys come in. So what I'd like to do is anyone who's watching this, leave a comment and say what you would like me to ask, any questions. Now, obviously, if it turns out your question is something I'm already asking, then it's already going to be asked. Don't worry about it. But, you know, just some interesting questions. So I'm covering things like communication issues between Wargaming North America and Wargaming EU, reskins, price packaging, the staggering of packages, different stuff in the game. I don't think I've actually got anything to do with maps. So if any of you guys want to chuck in anything to do with maps, you know, these sort of things. I created a list, and I was worried about going too many, so I kind of kept it relatively short, because this is a start point. There will be more of these in the future, and I know Carbide said he would be quite into the idea of doing one, you know, every so often. So, you know, one every month, maybe one every 3 months, well, it's, you know, quarterly sort of thing, and just, you know, a little check-in on Wargaming and what they have to say about what's happened in the past 3 months to year, that sort of thing. So it's possible that there'll be more. No, it's not possible. It's definitive. There will be more definite. What am I about? Definite that there will be more time to ask some questions. So your questions won't be wasted, because if you ask questions here and I don't get to ask them in this one, what I will do is I will save them all up, put them in a big Word document, and then I'll use them to cherry pick for future questions. So there's that. So Wargaming Q&A is now on the cards again. Lovely. And so I had really positive feedback about the bit where video I put up the other day where I hadn't even intended to record it. It's just when I record, I use something called skip back, and it records the last X amount. Now, I'd accidentally left it on a longer period of time than usual because I've been playing PUBG, and I've been recording some PUBG on the off chance I might use some of it. Most of it isn't that worth putting up, so, you know, who knows? Maybe one day I'll put a compilation video up on the same day I put a tank video up. I'm aware when people come to me, I'm not Ben and the Beer Guys. I've not got a PUBG audience. I've got a tanks audience. I like tanks. That's what I'm going to do. If anything, PUBG goes up, it's going to be as an extra, not as that day's only video. Anyhow, recorded some bits from me talking about the waffle, and me and some friends. It was me and I think it was Rossi and Jokers. And we were talking about what we think about the waffle and how it's not actually as OP as people say it is. It's just dumb. If you want, obviously go back to that. That's the Float Like a Frenchie, Ramble Like Me video, and you can hear that. But anyway, that was very, very popular. Now, that being as popular as it was, specifically the talk bit, more people were interested in the talk bit than the actual gameplay. And that makes me sort of something that I've been thinking about for a while, to mean I have to do something about it. And basically, it's a community talk. So, it can be done in one of a few ways. So, it can be done. One of the things I'm going to do like a version of it quite quickly, which is I'm going to do me, and I'm going to get Deco Noir. Some of you may know him from the forum. Some of you may know him from Rita's blog or Rita's Discord. He's a friend of mine. He's an intelligent guy, and me and him have a lot of back and forths about ideas and talks about ideas, where they could go. And I think it'd be a really good idea for me to get him sat down and just, you know, having a talk for, you know, half an hour or something. Just get some ideas up in the air, see what happens. Who knows, maybe even an hour. Me and him can rattle on. So 2 people who like to ramble is going to go well, I'm sure. And I think it'd be a really good idea, though, to just do it as a community thing. So it could go in a few ways. One, it can be specific members of the community. Like, I can say, I'll get the Beard Guys on, I'll get Sins on, I'll get Mad Friday on, I'll get maybe some people from PC. I don't think I'm ever going to get Jingles, but I know I can get people. I can probably get a few people. Get Pointy Head Jedi on. The guy's awesome. He's always willing to help people out. Who knows if I'm lucky, maybe one day Fosh. Circumflexes. That's very, very doubtful, but, you know, here's to hoping. But I could probably also get some people from PC, and definitely guys from Blitz. I get Skate Extreme. He's a good friend of mine. I've got invited to his wedding. How the hell that happened, I don't know. Apparently, I'm actually quite nice in person. Who knows? Everyone else thought I was a dick. Anyway, So, so I can do it like that. So, you know, kind of more sort of key figures within the community. Say on these community ones, maybe have wargaming. Like I had an idea of getting something like having I can't remember his name, but there's a guy who's on the forum who's well known for defending Arty. Have someone like him, and at the same time, people like Just an Ace, who is very, very publicly against artillery. And you know, see what but put it in a civilized situation where there is an immediate back and forth. On the forums, it's just stupid and it gets childish really, really fast. On here, I'm gonna have a situation where I can just go, right, look, if you're gonna be that childish, you know, I'm just gonna mute you for a second. You can calm your tits, right? So we'll see how that sort of thing goes. Or the thing I'd kind of like to do is get you guys, the viewers, just basically put your name forward and say, oh yeah, no, I want to do it, and then say get 3 or 4 of you, and then we'll all get you all on, and we'll just have a talk about subject matters. And obviously, the other thing is you guys have to be. I want you guys to put the topic matters forward. I'd like you guys to say what you'd like discussed, what you'd like talked about. Those are the same things. I'm just repeating myself. But yeah, so basically just what you want us to talk about. You know, what are the subject matters? Is there a particular event that's happened in the past 3 months, past month, past week that you particularly think is interesting? Something, you know, say the artillery discussion. I had someone ask me the other day about artillery being changed to the PC stun mechanic and reusable consumables. Like, I could go into a lot of detail about that and the matchmaking change, another thing that people want from PC. But you know, I'd need a platform just to do that, and so this gives us the opportunity to do that, just to talk about really cool stuff and get real in-depth and hopefully interesting discussions. Now, I'm really hoping that we can do that, and I'd love to know what you guys want, whether we want it the key figures, whether we want it to be you guys yourselves coming on, or even like a combination of both. Maybe get, you know, one guy, so say get the beard guys on, but then get one of you guys from the comments, or maybe do it differently. You know, 1 month it's the beard guys, the next month it's a couple of you guys, the month after that it's Sins, then the next month after that it's Mad Friday and a couple of you guys. You know, mix it up. Let me know what you think. I'm really, really interested in how to do that and what you'd like to see. All in all, everything I do on this channel is to do with helping the community, trying to get the best for everyone, and trying to just, you know, get the discussions going, help the game go forward. And it's one of the reasons why you hear me kind of, you can probably hear the frustration in my voice on a regular basis when I'm talking about some of these issues, because Wargaming North America have to do so little, the dev team, to make this game so much better. So little would it take, and yet they don't. And it's just like this bit where, or sometimes they'll take a step forward and you're like, yes, and then like finally they're doing something. Oh, that's really clever. You know, sometimes I didn't even think of that. I wouldn't have thought of that. That is great. Well done, you guys. That's really good. And then they just go, nah, I'm now going to slap you in the face. And on that subject, the average op. So, they've just done the Fights of Nations thing, whatever the hell it was called. And you had all the different nations pairing off each other. And at first, all the nations you expected to win won. But a lot of them were a lot closer than people thought. And some people I knew, and myself included, had a realization about this thing. Well, it's average. If you've got 50 people doing really, really well, that's better than 1 million people doing barely anything. By a lot. And the thing is, if you've got, say, 50 people out of a smaller percentage really pushing hard and getting very high numbers, that might actually affect the average enough to create a win. And it did. So I went China. And the reason I went China was because I knew several friends of mine and their entire clans were going to go China and purge the hell out of those completions. They were going to go for completion after completion after completion. Some of them I know got like 50-odd completions. It's nuts. They really ground out the China line to get the most out of that at that time. And fair enough to them. They did what they planned to do, and it got me a free preview tank, so I'm very happy with that. And it was a good idea, because it makes things interesting. As everyone knows, in the previous ones where it's by the number of ones, Russia was always going to win. America versus so-and-so was always going to win. Germany versus so-and-so. You know, there's a level of predictability to it. There just was. And then for the newest one, they've changed it again. Now, it's still an average. Now, don't get me wrong on that. It's still an average. But they've decided to change the average system up again, and I think this time it's made it too easy for numerics to win over, you know, smarts. So now, I think this is, you know, certain things like shellproof get you 1 point. A steel wall gets you, like, 2 points. And then a... steel wall gets you like 3 points, and demolition expert or something gets you like 2. And so I was talking to Carbide about this and said, look, the thing is, it's ruined it, because if I finish first in my Chinese tank, say, and I've done 5,500 damage, But the artillery, he's done 5,600. So he's got the high caliber, not me. Now, it's an American artillery, so doesn't affect me at all. Doesn't affect the score system at all. So no one's got any points there. Now, I finished first. I've not got any points because it's not done by positioning. I've not got any of those medals. I've not got any of the patrol duties, the shell proof, the thing. I haven't got any of them. So I've got 0 points. I finished first to China, but I've got 0 of them. An IS-3 camped the whole game. He did very, very, very little. He spent ages and ages like trying to hold a corner, doing very, very little damage, and just having people bounce after him. So he's got a shell proof. He's got a steel wall. And then after all that, he also managed to hit someone, get an ammo rack, only for like 30 damage, but hey, he got an ammo rack. And then after that, he went and then captured out on his own and got an invader medal. So he's got an invader, a shell-proof, steel wall, and a demolition expert. But all in all, he only did 1,100 damage, and he came near the bottom. He came in the bottom half of the team. He ends up with 8 points. But I finish first and get 0. And the thing is, when you then start thinking about that sort of concept, you'll realise... So the odds are people get medals every game. So things like, you can have everyone on the team getting a shell-proof, technically. And so if everyone's doing that sort of stuff, you're going to realise it's going to be numerics again. I think there's a chance that it's now going to come to so many people are just going to keep getting more and more and more because there's going to be more of them. And I think it's going to be... I just think it's going to be easier for Russia this time. I think it's still going to be close. I think a number of people are going to switch sides to China because they think it's going to, the opposite. They think, oh, well, I got outdone last time by going to China when I thought it was going to be Germany or America. So this time I'm going to go to China. And they're going to try and free ride it. They're going to get one completion and they're going to stop. I think a lot of people are going back to Russia. And a lot of people I know because it's Russia. It's just easy and that's what they want to do. So I think Russia's probably going to win this one. If it ends up being China and you've gone on with Russia because of me, I do apologise, but that's my money. I think the way they've changed this, it sort of removes the smarts of it, because good players or a group of determined players could affect the results. Here, I have a feeling that luck and just randomness is going to have a far bigger effect than any of it. So, again, this is another example of wargaming M&A. But yeah, I can't talk today. Wargaming NA doing something good and then sort of taking a step back. I mean, we'll see what happens. If the averages are closer than I think they're going to be, like 0.01 in it or something, then maybe I was wrong and this wasn't as terrible of an idea as I thought, or as bad of an idea. It's not terrible. The average concept is still in it. It's just you put so much luck in it. Demolition expert now gets you a point. Like, I've had terrible games where at least I've got one shot of damage, but it was, ammo racking someone for 200. I mean, the ammo rack things, that's so random. It's almost, you can't just say, okay, well, that took some skill. Well, not really. I mean, it's just a very, very random thing. Okay, arsonist medals. Arsonist medals sort of setting someone on fire. Again, that's random as all hell. Shellproof. Well, okay, that could be the difference between one guy bouncing his shot on you and killing you. Or, sorry, bouncing his shot or killing you. That's it. And you don't have to come first on the team for that. Ability isn't being rewarded here, which is probably why they're doing it. It's because they didn't expect a group of people who to use ability to rig the system. And they're trying to remove that. Because yet again, in my opinion, they're trying to cater to the lowest common denominator. They're trying to cater to the people who don't like the idea of having to learn or get better at the game. And, well, that's not even necessarily true. They're just trying to make it so you don't have to. They're trying to make this game so easy that they get this massive turnover of new players. But by doing it, they're losing the old school, they're losing the core player base, and that is why weekends we're getting 9,000 people server population, which is depressing as all hell. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's it for today's Rippa Rambles. Not the longest one I've done, certainly not a short one. But you know me, I do talk for a long time. I hope you've enjoyed this. I really do. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask, comments. I look forward to hearing what you have to say to do with Tankfest, to do with the Q&A, to do with the community discussion. all of this, I mean, it's been an interesting time for me at the moment, and I'm aware I'm rambling about rambling at the moment. I've started doing videos again on a more consistent basis, as you can see. I've been a bit screwed over by the YouTube YouTube algorithm in terms of views, but all in all, the fact that I'm getting, I almost would prefer to have, you know, a voice that I can, you know, that gets me to some people who actually want to listen. I'm aware there's a lot of people who, ironically, now that I've started loading again, I'm getting a load of people unsubbing because they were people who joined just for, because Jingles sent them a while back, because the Beard Guy sent them a while back, or Fosh sent them a while back, or Pointy Head Jedi sent them a while back, or because they wanted something from a giveaway I was doing, and I'm quite happy for those people to go. I hope that people are here. It's because I can offer them something, which in itself is offering me something. I really do enjoy helping people. I enjoy every aspect I can of the positive bits of this community, and sometimes I enjoy the negative bits because it's I find it interesting to, you know, people disagree with me. Some people say, "Oh, I'm really sorry to say this, but you know, you're wrong," or "I think you're wrong," and I love those conversations because I think they're the ones that you're going to learn the most from. If you can understand someone else's point of view, like there's bits where there's been people didn't understand why I thought things like the waffle wasn't really OP. Well, now you've heard my discussion point on it, you can now kind of see my aspect of it. You can see why, you know, all in all, waffle is very, very unlikely to dump more than its just 3500 DPM, or sorry, 3500 alpha in a minute, because the amount of time it's going to take to shoot, and then the reload being as long as it is. I think you can probably just about start firing off the next clip, but the odds are still quite low. You know, everything has to go right, and you have to have been able to just bang, 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 bang your clip. Something like a T-57 Heavy will easily get, you know, it's 4 shots off, 2 reloads, and both of their 4 shots, which is, you know, 4800 or something down, 4600, what it, 4200, is it 4200? Yeah, something like that. Anyway, a lot of damage, a lot of damage. So yeah, you can see why, you know, if you're going to call a tank broken, call it that, don't call it the waffle. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this, and as always, I've been Jack the Ripper, rambling on as ever, and I'll see you on the battlefield.
Phase 1?
Promote 1.0.
So, what's Phase 2? Hey! What's Phase 2? Phase 1?
Promote 1.0.
Yeah, but what about Phase 2? Well, Phase 3 is profit, get it? I don't get it. You see, Phase 1?
Promote 1.0.
Phase 2? Phase 3, profit.